SFJ 4x4 Studios presents
in my oversized four-wheel drive Jeep.
a Jeep podcast starring industry experts.
Pure monosity. What? Say that again.
With mad scientist Scott Brown,
Use my drill press as a sword of blade.
our host Neil Simpson,
If one light goes out, they all go out.
filled with shenanigans.
We are really professional with Jeeps.
This is I Speak Jeep.
Good morning, afternoon, evening, however you are joining us. I got real excited in my head because I can't wait to share with you all listening at home. There's a couple things going on. But my name is Neil with Simpson Family Jeeps, SFJ4x4.com.
Are you sure?
I am very sure. And I am joined in Grandma's Couch Studio by Dose individuals. And
I'm just a figment of your imagination.
I am just thrilled to announce that this is episode 200.
Yep. And because of that, Jeff came running in like his hair was on fire.
Yes. He was here to be part of this historic 200th episode, which for only having 200 episodes, our listening, our listeners, our followers at home have made this podcast. I'm already starting the.
Well, you're gonna help
I'm
me out
so
with all the
excited.
words I can't say later.
Yeah, I can't wait.
This is going to be a great episode.
I have made this podcast one of the most successful Jeep and off-road podcasts globally in the world. That is so stinking nuts to hear that many of you want to hear about Jeep specific.
They
Or
want
our
to hear.
shenanigans.
They want to hear about you and I just drone on for hours and monotone.
Well, that's
voice.
probably because the actual sleep, those like sleep courses,
Oh,
they actually
yeah.
cost money.
So we're
Like,
ASMR.
right. That's that's what it is.
Yeah.
We're I don't even want to go into those
No.
that acronym, but
Nope.
I know that you have to pay for those sleep apps, and we're probably we're
Yeah.
free.
Yeah.
So, but Jeffrey, the producer, is back in studio today. And
I am.
glad to have you here.
I left
Obviously,
you hanging right on kind of.
I
the
knew you
cliff,
were coming.
right to the very
I
end.
knew you were coming. That's okay.
You were
But-
in my seat. I'm like, nope, get out. Get in the
Well,
wrong seat.
that's because I was trying desperately to thumb through the system to make sure it was up and loaded.
We hadn't
for
quite
you.
pulled out the manual yet, but we were getting there.
Yeah, it was- and then the mad scientist.
Yeah, the
as
maddest
always.
mad scientist.
And in our 200th episode today, we are going to, as we mentioned to you before, we are going to be talking about the dastardly and evil and unfortunate plastics in your engine bay. Plastex. I also want to note that for funsies purposes next week prior to Easter, we will be talking about the Harry Potter sorting hat of Jeep ownership. I'll just leave it at that.
That'll be fun.
And then there will not be a live podcast on Easter Monday. We're going to take that day off for you all listening in that capacity. We may or may not have some type of other episode for upload purposes, but just outlining what we're doing through the week. I did see we had a new first today.
We did. Billy Joe got first saying good morning.
Good
then
job, Billy Joe.
Nate says good morning. Rob says happy spring. Jaga Jeeper says good morning. Lucky McDeerhead, a lovely spring day here, snowing. Gridlin Jeeps, morning fellows. Nate said, what can I say except you're welcome. Based
You're
on the 200.
welcome.
Yep,
At least
there
we
it
were
is.
able to read it, I guess.
Congrats on the 200th episode from Billy Joe. Daddy Jeep said they're all coming for the chat. That's probably true. Nate said, I thought the microplastics were in my food and beverage. They're in your engine too. And Nate says, inconceivable.
So, as a friendly reminder for our wide and broad listening audience, and while that is the majority of you, we welcome you on whatever Monday that you can make yourself available. Log on the Book of Faces or the YouTubes and get involved in the chat box there. Hang out and share
And see if you can beat Nate.
Well, and
right.
Nate's on fire with all the references. So just in response to that inconceivable, I do not think that word means what you think it means. He'll understand.
Oh boy.
Princess Bride. I almost said Princess
Yeah,
Diaries.
see, you got
it. I know exactly what the
Scott
reference.
has no idea what it is.
Nope.
Such a classic.
It is a classic, and without totally derailing already,
Right.
and just making references, because I can absolutely just make multiple references to that movie.
Can't we all?
We do. Well, Scott cannot.
Well,
I think I saw it once, but it doesn't like in my brain, so it's fine.
Scott would have a good time with the ROUSs.
my name. No, I'm gonna not do it.
Go, no, do it.
No,
You started it.
No, I need my notes drawn on.
What are we doing here?
Hello,
Hi.
buddy. Hello. I've just got.
I mean, I knew you were.
Do you see what
I was
his
excited
notes?
for
but
you to come
I
back.
didn't know we were cuddling this morning.
I was
Do you
excited.
see what his notes are on, Jeff?
I did. It's on his turnpike violation.
It's on my turnpike. I ran the toll booth, folks. Don't worry, they mail you, and we're off the rails. Don't worry, folks, they mail you your violation.
Or is that a bridge fee?
Oh no, it's the turnpike.
They didn't
it's,
find
it's
that one.
absolutely toll by plate when you run the toll booth. No, that's a thing. Anywho, so a couple episodes ago, we had elaborated upon our general frustrations with radiators in specific
Yes.
situations.
We've been touched very much by
Yeah,
radiators.
specifically Griffin and Mishimoto, and I'll continue to shout that from the rooftops. And what we were sold a decade ago was that let's go back to the kind of the inception of the JK, that we had radiator problems, and there was mounting locations, and there was flexion, and there was rigid mount, and there was a whole bunch of stuff.
We actually have to go back behind that.
Oh,
so
God. Please
Here
we're
we
not
go.
going to the
Horse
horse
and
though.
buggy. Oh, okay, thank God.
Broke that streak. I'm sorry.
So wait, I'm going to ask, how did you keep the horses cool? Go ahead. There you go.
Well,
Oh, we had the horses swimming last week. Don't worry.
we don't have water. Didn't have plastic for water buckets for our horses, so I can't
No,
go
they
back
wooden,
that far.
Wooden troughs. Yeah.
But we were all.
I can
If
put
you've
wood
been
in
in
the
the Jeep
engine.
game long enough, everyone's been touched by a TJ upper radiator tank just exploding at some
Yes.
point. So because of that,
wait. Let's go back to plastic valve covers on CJs.
ooh, I forgot about that. We can
Right?
we can go back further.
We can go back further. We can go to the iconic CJ5, CJ7.
And the problem
And the
with
plastic
Jeep
valve
owners
cover.
is we're elephants, and we don't forget.
We don't forget anything. We hate them internal slave cylinder transmissions.
Yes. So we some reason in the late 80s they thought it was a good idea to make a plastic valve cover, and they could have made it good. But we weren't where we are now with plastic technology. First,
Yes.
second, how many fasteners should a valve cover have on it when
All
it's plastic?
the fasteners.
Not two
Right.
in a spot that it's not reinforced.
Yes.
And then it's not the right kind of plastic, so it heats up and it starts to move around, and it starts to expand, and then it starts to leak. Now the sad part is metal ones leak too,
Totes.
because cork sucks.
Cork gaskets suck.
Yeah. So,
But I'm on a move from that CJ5, CJ7 owner.
but so they touched us there.
Wait a second. But wait, there's more. The Renix era was yet again those damn Europeans
Yes.
touching my American Jeep. And I had a closed cooling system
And worse,
with a plastic
the French.
bottle. We're coming for your vehicles.
Yes. Which quality in French manufacturing never was quite together. So
Huh. I don't know. I think they did okay. No, they didn't.
no, they didn't.
Brando, I see you, and you did touch me intimately in
Yeah.
ways that I will never forgive you. But we had a plastic. It wasn't quite an
Overflow.
overflow bot. I mean, it's technically
It
an
was.
but it's a closed system.
And what didn't help is it's because it's French. The caps were hard to find. They were also plastic.
it was the '80s. You didn't have the interwebs and the supercomputers in your pocket.
It's also malformed. your dad, grandpa that had a CJ that was touched 14 ways the Sunday with the valve cover was like, that's a piece of crap because it's plastic and in the engine compartment.
Yep.
So then we slowly evolve and we get into the TJ. And,
I did have a radiator go kaput.
Oh, I remember where I was.
when yours
the day
exploded.
mine
It's a
exploded.
rite of passage, I think.
I was looking at a car trailer on the side of the road and I heard, and I thought, what in the heck was that? Mm-hmm. And then steam started coming out of the hood of what would become Chuck Norris. Mm-hmm. And I thought, that's
What did you just do with your hand?
this.
What?
I got nothing.
Jeff, I mean,
That's why you got to tune into the live so you
What?
can see what happened.
was that move with your hand? I
Or reverse octopus. Anyways,
No.
Okay, folks, that's what you get when you get the visual, the reverse octopus. Don't Google that, by the way. I don't know. I don't know what that is,
So
but
you should definitely do that on your computer for work.
okay.
Anyway, so I then had to take the cap
Is this what
loose,
Davey Googles? Is that why we've never
right?
mind.
okay.
Nope, not going there.
And then I had to drive home, limp it home. I was not expecting to put a radiator in it that day.
Right.
Had to put a radiator in it. Was not happy.
We all thought that was because the mothership was cheapening out.
And,
right?
and
That's
I'll
what we
go
thought.
even a layer deeper. We had, 3 1s in GM world doing stupid heater core connections in plastic that would snap off at the threads. We had things with 3800s that were plastic and were problematic. So I understand why we're beaten and we're traumatized when you say plastic in the engine compartment.
Right.
But just like some things that we don't think about, like pulleys have been plastic for
Some pulleys have been plastic for
40 years.
Right.
And
Right.
how-
The bearing itself, internal to the pulley, is still
metal.
Metal.
and
right?
what fails
What fails?
on when
The bearing.
when- the bearing.
The metal.
Right.
The plastic doesn't fail.
Correct. Nope. The plastic does not fail. It's just a round.
And we've had
thing.
plastic bumpers and those things. And
right. Doesn't mean we have to like the bumper cladding, the big,
Yeah.
the big
I'm
body
just
panel.
I'm saying
stuff.
like there's plenty in your life that is plastic that you don't think about because it hasn't wronged you. You're not like that evil plastic. It's going to
was
get
that?
me.
I'm
What was
trying to
that
figure that out
accent?
too.
This is a great morning. And
is.
if this is your first time joining this podcast in your ear holes, I need you to know this is par for the course. So, anyways,
Listen more.
yeah, right.
I think there might be a few more accents on this episode already than what we normally do.
The normal,
So,
yeah, that's probably fair.
But you haven't broken out the Minnesotan accent.
I have not felt a need to offend the Minnesotians
Or the Canadians.
with their fruit salads or those lovely beady-eyed Canadians.
Oh wow!
I have
You
the
went
talking
straight for the
fucking heads.
attack. the accent isn't enough, huh?
no, it's just
I mean,
Wow.
really, the part that it really shows that the 3.8 JK really didn't offend anybody with plastic. Nobody gets up in arms about.
there's a lot of plastic under there.
valve covers are plastic. Intake upper is plastic. Pulleys are plastic. Nobody gets upset about that.
I really want to like kind of continue the trashing of the 3.8 in life, like as just a general thing, but yet exactly what you're saying,
Yeah.
it had the potential to fail on a number of fronts. And honestly, the seal structures are the only thing that
Yeah.
oftentimes became its downside.
I mean,
you
the
know?
biggest challenge I think with the 3.8 is you had people that had them in vans,
yeah,
and they just
specifically.
soldiered on for eternity for
Correct.
some reason. And the minute we turned them,
Yes,
a little
The
bit
other way.
the other way, they got angry and
Yeah.
they didn't last quite as long.
in some situations.
In some
other
situations.
situations, they again soldiered on
Forever.
forever.
Yeah.
And so let's not get too
Yeah.
off
But
track on that.
for example, though, we've had plastic there.
Correct.
Then
and we
you
did
know,
not get so upset per se.
Then 12 happened, and we thought we knew some things. We released a new motor. spoiler alert, the valve covers are still plastic. Intake is still plastic, lower and upper now instead of just the upper. And they decided we need an oil cooler because now we have dual overhead cams. It's now 1991 in Jeep world.
Yes. Yep. Welcome to what GM and
And Mazda and
Yeah.
Toyota all did in like 89 to 91 because now you can get more
it's a
first person.
whole new world.
Yes, with overhead cams. But change is hard.
Chrysler engineers just woke up.
But change is hard.
Nate said, "Life is a pain, Highness. Anyone who says differently is selling something." Another quote from.
Of course.
But Scott doesn't understand.
No, it's fine. I just want to ignore you.
So
and
we
just
get
keep going.
we get dual overhead cams, quad overhead. We get cams.
All the
overhead.
cams.
We get all the cams.
all the valves,
Lots of moving pieces.
and for some reason we can't go back. Like find the guy that retired from Mazda and be like, hey,
No, we have to reinvent the wheel.
and do it our own way.
It's like
And-
Ford and the Bronco. They had no idea
No.
that a comparable vehicle had been produced for the last 2 or 3 decades.
Yes.
And they were like, we're going to do it our way. So anyways, this
Yeah.
is now we get an oil cooler. If you didn't understand, folks, first of all, I'm here to offend everybody
Hell,
today.
heck yeah!
Second of all,
I can't
This is
imagine why
specific-
that wind is coming in the side of my soft top.
yeah, welcome Bronco ownership. So we are specifically talking about oil coolers and radiators and those plastic components that people focus on, right? And this is a perception issue because as you have already outlined, we have valve covers,
Yep.
and we do have upper manifolds,
Yep.
which years ago,
It's been that. They've been that way in automotive production for 30 years.
and I want to talk about for a brief moment. I want to side quest into cold air intakes and or just your air intake.
Yes.
Right? Because and again going back to the CJ era, we had kind of a metal housing, which then typically had a plastic snuffleupagus tube.
Yes.
And again, that plastic snuffleupagus tube was almost too elaborate. It was a paper thin plastic, and it did not last the.
It was
time.
the 80s. Plastic
Correct. Again, it was a
not
bad
what
plastic for that time.
Yeah.
And yet it did its job sufficiently for the duration of its, rolling off the factory line. We went from those metal housings to, these plastic intakes, and we
You mean
carried that.
Your TJ had a plastic intake?
It did.
And box?
An airbox, right?
Why are
had
we offended
plastic.
about that?
And the problem is there was a series of folks who ran out and replaced that with metal tubes.
Which is awesome for heat transfer.
Metal transfers and holds heat.
Yeah.
So if you look under your hood and you have a metal tube connecting your air cleaner into your engine right now with a modern day vehicle,
You're not helping your
you're
purse.
not helping your engine.
You know what's really sad? XJ's had plastic air boxes
They did.
and rubberish plastic going to the throttle body. So didn't YJ's.
Yep.
So we're talking as old as we are.
Correct. And those plastic, other than a degree of restrictive properties that was of concern to that tiniest fine tuning level.
Yeah.
Otherwise, realistically speaking, that plastic dissipates heat better than the metal does.
Or isolates.
Dissipates or isolates. It has different thermal conducting properties than metal does. A thin aluminum tube will allow heat transfer faster and hold it longer, which in general
It's bad.
Is bad. It brings up the temperatures of the air that your engine's taking in. Engines are air pumps, and they want cold, dense air 9 out of 10 times. It's the best way to put it until they at the operating temperature, right? They want to be within their engineered operating temperatures. Anywho's a what's it. Now let's head over to this dastard
Mildly offensive to Minnesotians there. So it got that one in.
Oh, how did I offend him? How did?
The who's he what's it?
Oh,
So anywho's
isn't that interesting?
so we get into the 12. We broke the mold. It's now 1991. We have double overhead cams. We have the 3.6 Pentastar.
It's not actually 91, just for those who
Yeah.
are listening. It's factually 2011, pushing into 2012.
Yes.
We're
And
just 20 years behind the ball.
we gotta try some things. We gotta R&D some stuff, and we design an oil cooler that goes down in the bellies of the motor. Immediately, people were upset. That was like one of 15,000 things that they were upset about, and that's with every model change or whatever. Change is hard. They like their push rods. They like their old school. They like their crank windows, Jeffrey.
What's wrong with a crank window?
So change is hard.
Until someone comes up to your passenger side to talk to you, and you got to lean across the seat to roll the window down.
I know. I have a truck with crank windows, and I don't like that. Anyway,
He's going to convert all his crank windows to electric, even on the old school stuff.
It's really my number one gripe about my International. I have to be
all
honest
right,
with you.
I'll be honest. The International, that would annoy me because you can't just reach
You
across.
can't reach across.
You gotta
it's a
climb
long
across.
ways
It
across
is
that
a
cab.
long
You're
way.
walking
Let
a half
me,
a block
let
to
me
get
throw
to
it
that
in
door.
neutral, air brakes on, unbuckle, walk half a block, as you said.
Just call them on the phone at that point. That's more convenient.
The truck's so loud you can't and it's tinted, so it's like they have no idea that you're desperately trying to talk to them. All right, so side quest again, folks.
So, and the biggest challenge is we didn't really do the oil cooler well in 12 and 13. If anyone that has worked on a multitude of Jeeps long enough, they have taken their oil cap off, and then something has tried to poke your eye out as it just exit over your shoulder. That's the oil relief valve that's in the 12 and 13. They break all the time. There's a pretty decent spring on that, and it just yeets that across the shop.
Yep.
Most lube techs at that point pretend they did not happen, and they just stuff the filter back in there.
Yep. The other piece, and I just have no faith in these lube techs specifically. Jim Bob's Garage did not know what to do, and this is my own.
See, the problem is they just came off the Snap-on truck, and they're broke now, but they bought the long handle ratchet,
The long handle ratchet.
and they got to use it.
And this
because
is
they
my
just spent like $300 on that sucker.
and this is just
Yeah, a hat's coming off. He's getting worked up.
I am worked up because this is it gets me. I'm like, my hair's on fire. It's like such a trigger because you know what? Half the complaint for people was it has a plastic oil filter housing and they crack. BS. They absolutely
Well, so
don't.
I've actually found evidence, people chatting 12 and 13s did. They cracked because the plastic changed. They actually were not the same plastic that your current from Mopar oil coolers are.
but
It's actually changed
Even
times.
even that, the majority of the times that it's cracked is because somebody over tightened the cap.
Well, that's because they got the long handle from Snap-on that was $300.
But
That's
otherwise,
the problem.
The plastic doesn't itself inherently crack.
And even if it was a slightly weaker plastic, I think that it would have cracked less. Even if it was
Correct.
a weaker
100%.
plastic, it would have cracked less if these, darn.
So-
if these darn lube techs, I'm trying to use nice words, didn't use the long handle or use their Ugga gun and go blah, 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 to put the cap on.
To talk from an engineering standpoint, the engineer that designed the oil cooler would have looked at the temperature requirements. He would have looked at the expected service life. He would have then went to his book or research and looked at a proper plastic type. There is not just one type of plastic. There's up to 10 million different types. Would have picked the best for availability, cost, and that would have utilized his things. He did not expect lube tech with long handle ratchet in that design.
No. Or an impact wrench taking it on and off. That
Correct.
seen it done.
So that's why the first revisions happen. Also, we realize, hey, the thing trying to take your eye out, that's not a great plan. So by 14, that's phased out. They
Correct.
they redesigned the filter, and
And this is where the
Mopar-
conversation, I feel like we have to say this is the nipple versus no nipple conversation.
Correct.
And I don't mean on Jeffrey's body.
and
His
we also
Italian
have to
style.
talk about the 12s with the 530 oil versus 520 time things were hard. We had head issues. There's lots of bad stuffage in 12.
Sure.
Because change is hard. Anywho's, by the time we get to 14, 15, they really had kind of figured out the cracking plastic problem, aside from the guy that really got the long handle ratchet. And most lube techs at that point had gotten scared of the tightening and have learned to be like, okay, maybe I don't need to pretend it's an 18-wheeler lug nut.
Right.
I can just gently tighten that up. But yet, more revisions happened. And surprise, even into the JL, there is more revisions happening. And something we personally have seen is not your oil cooler cracking that is making it fail. It is the seals that are between the block of the motor and the oil cooler. And you could, if you love taking your intake off and on, just replace the seals. We feel that is just not wise, that we might as well hit the reset button, put a new Mopar cooler in there, and now we have reset it, and you should be able to go for 80 to 100,000 miles without interrupted service.
Right.
What we see commonly, almost every time we see one with an aluminum cooler, guess what? They still leak because Dorman seals suck. So there's some people saying, oh, because the plastic has offended us, we have to go to Dorman and get a cooler. Then we have to go over here to Mopar and get seals that they've redesigned 14 times. Well, guess what? Dorman has not revisioned that oil cooler of theirs 14 times. They have made it once, and we have seen it time and time again with aftermarket companies. Someone decides they have been wronged by plastic and Dorman. They're going to make an aluminum cooler, and then jobs change, positions change, whatever happens. They are just going to keep making that design. Engineers have to sign basically agreement when you first start that anything you create while you work there is their property. I've literally had to do that. Therefore, just because they're continuing to make that process or that product doesn't mean the actual person that conceived it and knew how every little intricate detail worked is still there.
Right.
And then so when you call up and say, hey, such and such happened, they're like, I don't know, George. I don't have no clue. And we've heard multiple times that guy doesn't work.
That guy doesn't work here anymore.
Yep. But we're just going to keep making it because it sells.
So it's important to know
Plastic's bad.
because plastic's bad. So it is important to note, kind of in a statistical sense, that the oil cooler assembly is from 2011 to 2024. It is a direct interchange of the same oil cooler. So we can take an oil cooler that is currently being used on a 2024 JL, and in theory, we could use it on an 11. Now, there is going to be a number of different parts to this conversation because of the sensor conversation. But there is a specific part that Mopar lists within their catalog that is an oil cooler assembly, and it and likewise the Dorman actually is this. It says it lists that it's good from 11 to 24, and that Dorman part that you are referencing has then a plug provision to cap off where the sensor.
Yeah, because
the
JK's had two.
Yep.
JLs have one.
Yep. And then the issue is that you would be retrofitting, say that 2012 Jeep application, you would be retrofitting it to a nippled filter. So now you would be using a 14 plus WL110 Wix filter.
You know what they should do? They should bring back the little sticker that was on all the early 80s Jeeps firewalls that said, warning, this oil filter thread has changed.
So Mishimoto, what I think is interesting is there's a lot of chatter out there about the Dorman oil filter, but Mishimoto, in my opinion, is one of the ones who also came to market with it.
Yeah.
I've heard less. Now, I suspect I hear less because Factually, again, that part number that became relevant to the 2012 production Jeep JK has been revised 9 times. That means that over the course of 15 years, Jeep Chrysler mothership Stellantis has found an opportunity to make that part better 9 times. Now, as Jeffrey has already mentioned, the later model JLs only require 1 sensor versus DOS. And so in theory, that could be a revision in of itself. It would not necessarily be about oil passages and galleys, but it could be about the sensor itself. But there is a conversation to be said about efficiency, about seal structure, and how it sits up into the filter, into the filter housing or the cooler housing. All of these things that as a multi-billion-dollar company they would have discovered, they would have made their product better.
So the Dorman aluminum oil cooler was released in June of 22.
Okay. So I know that during, and this is the Neil thing.
Yep.
Somewhere in the COVID shutdowns, I remember seeing an all aluminum cooler start to get trickled out into the world on the Amazon.
Yes.
And I remember thinking to myself, yes, this is going to be a hot ticket item for a lot of people.
Yes.
And I don't know who made it at that time.
Well, like all good things made in China, just because Dorman has a reputable name, it's still made overseas. And
reverse engineered elsewhere.
Yes. And the minute
Globally.
you take your blueprints over and you hand them to a Chinese manufacturing plant, they are copying that
Now
crap.
10 manufacturing plants have it.
And now you can get it on Amazon for dirt cheap. Does the quality of it anywhere close? No.
So that's the whole nature of it, is that we have 9 super sessions of product. What specific variant is this all aluminum cooler designed around?
Well, and just because it was released in 22 doesn't mean they used the 22 revision either, because they had development time.
I was going to say, they likely used a much older version of it, a couple years older at least.
More than likely.
And that's the thing, is that to say which one, and if they were willing or able to indicate which one it is, or the improvements they've made, or the reverse engineer stuff that they've put into
money
it.
on it. They don't even know, because that guy's gone.
What's the other problem that I have with the Dorman? It comes disassembled.
Yeah.
You're having to assemble it versus the Mopar's already pre-assembled.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So
That's
now
fair.
you've got a second fail point.
Sure.
Absolutely. And that's a good way for them to put the liability onto the consumer and the installer versus their monkey putting it in the box.
All right. Well, on that note,
Since we're offending everybody, what the heck?
Wow. So Daddy Jeep said, wear your safety glasses, kids. That was in reference to you ejecting the coil.
Ejectocito, cuz.
Sure.
That's right. And then Nate actually originally purchased the Dorman cooler, but he returned it on our recommendation, got the Mopar one. And that's because we've pulled more of the Dormans out than we put
We've scrapped a lot
in.
of those.
Yeah.
So, and that's not to say, and this is a challenge that, I know we'll have the feedback on this, and people will say, well, I put it in and I never had any issues. And that's fine.
And you may not.
And there's such a volume of these transactions happening.
And I've driven 2 3.6 vehicles, and I've never put an oil cooler in one. Knock on wood.
Oh boy. And the nature of
I had to put one in mine.
Well, of course you did, because you use it as a 1-ton.
Yep.
it's fair.
Yep.
As far as the nature of these are concerned, there is such a massive volume being exchanged regularly, and so as we talk about who has and who hasn't put them in their vehicles.
Wait. Nate said that the Dorman comes with the orange filter housing, so that's definitely a plus. I will paint yours orange if that's all that matters.
Yeah, I don't think that's an upgrade.
So and then this is what I was going to say, is that you may have had a good experience with yours, and I would say you may or may not know what you don't know, and that it is working sufficiently, but could it be working better? We've certainly encountered what we feel to be flow issues with coolant passing through the unit. Greg had one apart the other day. It's kind of interesting to me that the oil and the coolant passages are actually crisscross. People might think that they are parallel each other, but they don't. They actually crisscross internally. And so up in there's these, all these different passages to allow that process to happen efficiently. And I think that, in that the air could potentially get trapped, or maybe a passage is too small to allow coolant to pass through.
Or is there a nice hefty mold line from the aluminum in there that restricts flow?
There's all of those things have a potential to create more issue than something else, and which is a conversation we had about the radiators last week.
Yep.
About the flow rate or the flow nature of them. So as far as replacement, one of the things that we're privy to is on a national level, how many of these are being sold by the Stellantis network.
Well, real quick, go ahead and go on to our live chat. Put in your guess.
Correct.
And I'm going to shock and awe you with trying to say what kind of plastics are used in engine compartment.
Well, so while you are guessing, how many of these are sold weekly, not annually, not monthly, not quarterly? How many are sold weekly for replacement in both dealership application and then authorized dealer distributor?
So at a national level.
Yes.
So if you have an intake manifold or something of that nature, so engine cover, intake, that kind of stuff, there's going to see some heat, but not the pit of fury. It's polyamide or nylon/PA. Thankfully,
we're
they
doing
have
this.
Shortcuts.
Yeah, we're doing this. Okay.
But I'm gonna see it through, and I'm gonna try to say that was the easiest one.
Okay,
boy.
I know
Here
it
it
is.
goes.
So then we have polythene sulfide, which is PPS, which is hot zone. So that's going to be our oil coolers. That's going to be anything that's in the fury of the engine. So anything that sees a lot of heat, which, quick sidebar, we just saw probably the most used JL ever come through the shop, and their lower intake manifold had started to melt. And honestly, that's not common. So when I was in college, engineering college, they talked about polyset let's see, how was that? Basically, one plastic, you use heat to set it, and then it's set. It cannot melt. It actually burns if you heat it up to that temperature again, because a chemical process happens which basically changes the molecules of the plastic.
Okay.
Then you have one that you use heat to inject, and that can be melted back down, reused, and put back. So basically, think your milk jug. You can take your milk jug, you can shred it up, you can chop it up, melt it down, re-inject it, use it for something different. I'm surprised the intake isn't the thermoset where it's going to burn versus remelt, but that is not what we saw. It was literally starting to melt down the center of the ports.
Yeah, it's important to note that is actually something we've never seen before. In the grand scheme of life, it was an 18 JL. It's actually not the most mileage we've ever seen.
No, I'd say most used.
Right. Well, I mean,
How hot did it get to do that?
Well, and
Yes.
that's the concern. Now, I mean, we look at like my wife's Jeep, where I think we had a head gasket breach,
Yes.
which is a whole other conversation about multi-metal surfaces or multi-metals.
Which, yeah, I was saying
within
wasn't
an Ingis.
plastic there.
Not plastic. It's actually a steel head gasket with aluminum block and head, basically.
Yep.
And so I don't exactly have a reason as to why my wife's Jeep started to overheat, but we eventually came to the fact that I had a breached head gasket, and that'll be a podcast conversation for the future, is breach versus blown.
And with that said, you were ingesting a lot of oil into the intake system because of whatever was going on. And even with that high petroleum,
and it did overheat, is what I'm getting to
particulate in the engine's intake system, plus the overheating, your lower intake was fine.
Correct.
Mud does bad things. I'll just say.
And I think that was the issue we saw in this, is that the heat of the insulatory properties of mud and the just the caked up
heat soaked it
and kept that heat on that plastic intake, where the plastic wasn't able to dissipate the way that it was originally designed. Plastic should have cooled at a rate, and it held on to it, which I think is what enabled it to melt.
So anyways, that was PPS, which is what's used on our really hot zone items. And then we get into the real kicker. Polyethylene tertone.
Yep,
that is also known as PEEK, PEEK, which is high stress, and they can also add carbon fiber to that. So then you basically have a race car.
I hear race car.
And that is used for like oil pumps and anything that's going to be in a high heat, high stress. And something else that occurred to me when we had all this conversation is carbon fiber is plastic technically. Mm-hmm. And all of our supercar race cars have been some sort of carbon fiber or plastic for most of the vehicle. Like, we're talking the chassis that you sit in that protects you from a crash, that's something that goes 200 miles an hour, is plastic, and that's okay.
Yes.
But if it's on my engine, it offends me.
Sure. I mean, I think that's exactly what the horse that we're starting to, that's starting to die and we're kicking still.
Correct.
Is this idea that just because it's there does not mean that it should offend us. I think it was that the takeaway, and that's not to say that there are not all benefits to metal construction. If I go in my way back time machine and we go to bronze, brassy, aluminum, not aluminum, bronze, brassy radiators, that was a very good constructed radiator that worked.
Soft material too, and it was allowed to flex. Eventually, it would thin and crack.
Correct.
With age,
it was repairable. There was a number of things that we found benefit as automotive enthusiasts to having that type of construction property.
And like we said before, we went to aluminum in radiators because it was stronger material, so we could make the cores bigger, better heat transfer. But it does not flex, and when it flexes, it is not as forgiving as.
Correct. It's more of a brittle.
Correct. It's
metal
just something
once
to break.
in its position.
Well, let's look at the numbers here that are coming in. We've got Bradford saying 300 to 600. Bill McWilliams said $1,298.
Okay. So as we talk about this and the replacement process, and as Scott mentioned, we replace it as a resetting the switch conversation. The assembly, because the other piece about that oil cooler assembly is again those passageways. They could have carbonization or buildup because they are kind of thin or tight. It's like cleaning out an artery at that point in time. Your degree of your triple bypass, because the labor is pulling the intakes and pulling the seals.
Which is also why we do spark plugs while we're there.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that's why we do the sensor while we're there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because ultimately there's not a major...
I mean, you shouldn't take it out of your old oil cooler and put it in your Dorman and put it in there.
And we've seen that, folks.
Yeah.
We've absolutely seen that. And then we've actually seen that sensor fail because it was happy in its previous home, and then shortly thereafter it was unhappy. And then the Jeep ends up here.
It's a service interval.
Nate came in with 350.
So weekly oil cooler assemblies sold by the Stellantis dealer network, so this is an authorized product, is 3,063 weekly average.
Oh, that's all?
So you're selling over 12,000 of these oil coolers monthly. That's plastic infused oil coolers. So your one Dorman or Mishimoto transaction has kind of pales in comparison to 12,000 monthly sales of these plastic. That simply means that the volume of that particular component is in mass compared to whatever else is out there.
And Nate reused his oil sensor. He's gonna have to change that soon. Hopefully it works for a while, but
yep, it'll be great, Nate. It'll be perfectly fine. But maybe it won't be. So so the nature of the volume. Yes, some of those
$156,000 a year.
Yeah. Some of those are going to fail, right? Now, the thing is, there's so many of these vehicles out on the road. It is a design element failure in itself, right? The seals are specifically the first and foremost failure, and
Correct.
they are buried down in the internal, one of the kind of the hottest parts. They are in the
bowels of
middle,
the engine.
the bowels of the engine, where all of the combustion heat transfer is happening at these seals constantly. And then when they start to leak, they're subjected to kind of the corrosive properties of oil and coolant and dirt and debris mixture. Yeah. Yes, the seal is going to fail, and then once it starts to fail a little bit, it's going to fail a lot.
And again, that is something else that Mopar has re-engineered 14 times, and I have changed colors a couple times to show you that most of the time, because obviously we haven't taken apart a 24 yet, but the current coolers that we get from the dealer have an orange seal. The ones that you're taking out of your Jeep are black, and we're talking about durometer difference. We're talking about slight profile difference. They're trying to make this better. And honestly, it's kind of a crazy thing to think of, but because the volume of this product is so high, they're therefore allowed to, I'm sure on an engineering level, to reinvest in that.
I think it's important to note, you just said about the orange or the red seal, the red O-ring.
Yeah.
That's only on some models. It comes with the black and the red based on the model you're using.
That you're talking about the one that goes down into the block. Yes, I'm talking about the ones that are
between the plastic and the aluminum housing.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Those have changed a couple.
And this actually is going to kind of take me into my last sidebar of today's conversation, that there is a concern or reservation for me right now, very real, when it comes to seal technology in these engines and availability. And again, I touched on it in a couple previous podcasts, but I feel the need to bring it up again, that the sealing plastics that we see through Felpro and Molly and Victor Rines and a new company, DNJ, which I'm not as familiar, but I do see their product more places. Then we have actually your OE application seals. You have 5 to 7 leading seal manufacturers who have all had to shift production over the years, just like the OEs, from cork to rubber impregnated, gasket technology to now
rubber with metal in it.
Rubber with metal.
More, and then now to a more O-ring-esque type.
Plasticky, rubbery thing that, again, heat, environmental contaminants. There's a whole bunch of things that I have some reservations. I feel as if we're seeing a lot of seal failure, which factually, I will tell you that seal failure is the number one leading cause of oil cooler replacement.
Yep. And that's not just
cracking.
us. That's we've seen other mechanics referencing that on the internet.
Correct.
Actually making videos about it. And can you imagine if you had used a substandard product like cork for those seals, how fast they would fail?
Right.
I mean, we got to put it in perspective a little bit. Like, we're using a high quality gasket that can last 80 to 100,000 miles with relative general use. Obviously, we see the more higher use. We're wheeling, we're letting our vehicle idle for all day, heat soaking it more. We're putting in contaminants from mud and water and debris into the engine because it is the V of the engine. All that stuff kind of goes down, gets trapped in there. So of course we're going to see a higher failure rate. But for a general bell curve of the society, I think you can go a long time without having a failure. And while they're still trying to make this product better, again, because they are invested or are selling so many, you're going to reinvest in a product you're selling a lot of.
Right. And therefore, ideally have it designed to the best possible practices that are available.
Yep.
And I feel the same. We've started to encounter this with, again, as we mentioned, radiator technology. Again, we locked in on radiators and oil coolers today. There's plenty of plastic from air intakes to actual intake manifolds, uppers and lowers. In most cases, plastic.
Not just in the engine either. You've got ABS sensors that are in the wheels where they get superheated in there, and that's
true.
plastic.
That's true.
Yeah.
Plastic in the connectors for Rubicon axles.
Yep.
And axles get temperate. And
All of your sensors have plastic in them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to a degree, gone are the days of a fully brass sensor or something, a metal sensor.
Fuel rails
Oh, yeah.
are plastic.
Yep.
Fuel lines are nylon.
Yeah, we don't talk about those as much because they're not as much in our face as far as a failure is concerned.
Yep.
But all of a sudden, when it comes to this, hey, the trash is in my backyard, now I'm talking about radiator and oil cooler failures.
Yep.
Despite the fact that you guys just named off a dozen items that are plastic or have the capacity to have plastic in them, and the plastic is not the fail point or the fail issue.
Right.
The last piece that I do feel like is part of the world we're living in, which is one of those kind of quiet aspects, are the plastic connectors, the camming locks, the safeties. There are challenges there.
The fuel lock gets brittle over time, and it just crumbles when you take it apart.
And the ECM lock.
Yep.
And that's another thing that we don't, as a consumer, talk about, but those have cycle lifespans.
Yes.
So if you unplug and plug it in, that is a cycle. And the more you do that, the higher risk of breakage you have, because it's only designed for, I'll make something up, like 100 cycles, and heat and age and use removes lifespan out of that.
And and one thing that we're dealing with as an industry, and again, the average consumer might not be as aware, are again these pigtail connectors. Kind of the specialty nature of them, the kind of the proprietary size and design. Last week alone, we ran into an issue for our turn signals for our JKs. And a lot of you out there have found it very fun to put a cool aftermarket product in your turn signal. So whether it was a clear lens originally, or now you got something from an LED provider, and now you got a halo one. And each time you change out that turn signal housing, the pigtail wears out just a little bit more, right? The Jeep side pigtail. And
that's not to count the times that they side tap it or scotch lock it or whatever to add a function to their headlight.
Sure. And so now we have kind of diminished the lifespan or quality of that particular product. That pigtail cost us $100 to replace appropriately, and you have to replace it with its appropriate pigtail, because you're not just hardwiring parts together anymore, because actually going into the turn signal is a proprietary shape and size.
Yep.
Then I went ahead and I found out further that there's actually bad data at the dealership level. So when you run it as a 16, you get the wrong part number. Yes, you get a pigtail connector, but it's the wrong part number.
Yeah.
And and so this actually kind of a quirky situation. Back in the day, this was not exactly our issue. Our wires just kind of like went up and hardwired into something, or our plastic connections were far more rudimentary. Now, as they become more elaborate, they have environmental seals to them. People are thinking
I'll just unplug it real quick.
I'll just unplug it real quick.
Yeah.
It's getting away from that at this point. And certainly if you're a JK owner, your Jeep, I hate to tell you this, but some of you have almost a 21 or almost a 20-year-old in your possession.
Yeah.
That plastic has lived its life. A metal product would not have necessarily been better, or some type of other hardwired connection. But you have to be conscientious about those things as you service it and as you think about upgrading it going forward.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited. I hope to hear from people and regarding what their experiences have been, what your feedback is, what did you think about as plastic is relevant in our Jeep production, as we're seeing more and more vehicle components produced lighter and with kind of better shape and size. I guess I should make this last little tidbit note, because this will be the 1% out there. You can actually go to the dealership as Joe Average. You can go to your local dealership and you tell them that you want to replace your oil cooler, and they'll bring up their parts, and you say, but I like that all aluminum cooler. They will factually sell you an all aluminum oil cooler. It will be an authorized Mopar accessory. That is what it will be listed as. So of all of this, and again, I'm not exactly trying to talk you out of the all aluminum cooler. I guess I know what our preference is. Yeah.
Change enough of them.
Fair.
I have higher hopes for the Mopar
But
factory one.
You can factually walk into your dealership right now, and your parts guy might have to dig a little bit, but he will find a Mopar authorized accessory cooler, which is a complete aluminum assembly. I need you to factually know it is a Dorman. It is produced by Dorman. It is a Rebox. They put it in a Mopar box. There is a program out there, and I don't want you to get twisted thinking that all of a sudden, oh, hey, OE parts are the best parts. Mopar just saw the fact that, hey, there is a seam of people looking for this part. They're asking for it. So
we're going to give it to them.
We're going to give it to them. We'd prefer to sell you this part. I understand from a business, I take the same standpoint.
Yep.
I prefer this part, and I'll tell you why. But at the end of the day, if you've convinced yourself that this all aluminum is the right part for you, I'm not going to talk you out of it. Mopar doesn't want to lose that sale, so they just literally sell you the Dorman. It's a couple bucks more than if you were to just go on to Amazon and buy the Dorman yourself, or go to AutoZone and buy it yourself.
But you feel better because
But you feel better
Same
because
reason
you got it from the dealer.
Dealers buy AutoZone and Advanced and insert here auto parts,
Right.
and then just put them on their vehicles.
So we're not trying to say that Stellantis dealer product is the end all be all. That's not the takeaway here.
Yeah.
The takeaway is that plastic is not inherently bad. It's here to stay, and we have to learn how to relate to it. Change is not bad.
Thank goodness it's not the plastic it was in the 80s.
Thank the Lord that is not those valve covers on the 258s.
Because of all those hard to say words I said.
Yep.
That was like I don't know what my laugh was at the end there. All right. With that said, it was a lot of conversation, and I hope that you found it beneficial or interesting or just downright offensive. I suppose that could be the case as well. And for that, I sort of apologize.
No, you don't.
We have a lot of Jeeps to attend to. If you're interested in hearing about what's going on in our personal lives, we will be expeditious about that explanation and share with you what happened in this past week, since we all got to hang out together last. So feel free to hang on through the outro credits. Until then,
Jeep on.
Jeep on.
Jeep on.
I'm going to go because it's pretty straightforward, but
Okay.
it actually is relative to this conversation. I got exceptionally sick last week.
So did I.
Did you? Yeah, I think you and I text briefly. I was barely functioning on like kind of just my normal, very busy nature. I found like just even like certain text messages and whatnot being like, I'll get to that eventually, maybe, and I didn't. But so I did have an opportunity to relax and I needed it because I worked every day, you know what I mean? And I was so doped up doing it as far as, Dayquils and NyQuils and Sudafeds and Afrin and anything I could do to kind of satisfy the sickness. So
You're down with the sickness.
If I could do the disturbed voice thing, well, I would do it right now for you.
I appreciate
I would just sound
the
like
thought that matters.
I would, yeah. Ooh, ah, that's.
Well, no, that was too high.
I see. I don't. You know what?
No,
I
wanna
did
see you
try.
try
I
it.
tried and I
No,
failed.
you didn't try it.
I tried
That
and
was,
I failed.
That was a weak effort.
I
know
can
you could
hear
do
it in
better.
my head. It was a weak effort.
You
I
can do
need you to
better.
know. I can't. I can't do better too, and I know that
time
about
has
myself.
passed at this point.
Anyways, holy cannoli. So, you know what? I did manage to make a priority was to take a Jeep road trip through Western PA, head out to the woods, and play airsoft with my son. And I had this completely.
How many bruises you got?
Literally just 2. So, well, okay, Jeffrey. Since you
How
asked,
many bruises does Leo have?
oh, he's not that bruised up.
Okay.
He was better, of sort. But here's okay.
I was gonna say Neil got his
Let-
butt kicked it.
I didn't. So here's the thing. We went to a place.
Either you could hit the targets.
No. Listen. We got to this place. I actually did very little research. This was like one of these like kind of totally spontaneous. Great family friend invited us out. This is not something that I would have picked and choose. I have projects coming out my ears that I would like to engage in, and yet I thought this was a great opportunity to learn something new, to be exposed to something a little bit different. And for where I'm at in life right now, variety is the spice of life. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go out into the woods. I'd love to be outside, and I'm going to try it. So we go to this location and this business, and what I didn't know was that, I was invited for a finite period of time, basically 3 to 5 o'clock. And I intended to be early because I knew that I was green. And so we left at noon, about an hour and a half away. I'm headed out into the woods. I wanted a nice drive, look at people's junk in their yards and, see what kind of trouble I get into on the way there. So what I didn't know was that this was this organization's Bantam. Basically.
Oh.
It was their weekend experience once or twice a year, but what I could tell was basically once a year. There were encampments. There were people who were camping there all weekend. There was a small, display of vendors. There was stuff going on. So I roll up as a complete and absolute newbie, and there's 250 plus players in tactical gear and ghillie suits and just equipped to the nines with these semi-automatic
You
and
got
automatic
a little pistol one.
my son's got a spring-loaded air pistol, and I knew that we could rent equipment. Right, so
Yeah.
that was the nature. I'm not going to go out and buy anything. My son had a little spring fired pistol. So
He basically showed up in like a Kia Rondo or whatever.
to Bantam Jeep Festival. 100%.
Yeah.
100%, right? So
Can I wheel this?
yeah. Can I get on the trails, guys? And I showed up, and here's the thing. I wasn't going to go out, and I wasn't going to get all the tactical gear and fit to do this. So I've got my regular work pants, and I've got a black SFJ hoodie, and Leo's basically wearing the same outfit as I am. And again, everybody is in like camo garb and ghillie suits with like helmets and masks and all this stuff. And I'm
Oh
like,
yeah.
oh, okay, we're going to do this, right?
And I bet you a lot of them had padding underneath all of that.
Probably. They got vests and all this stuff. So I did know well enough to like layer up. But guys, I'm talking like this is kind of what I wear to work. It was basically a flannel under my hoodie, you know?
Yeah.
All right. So I go into the what I'll call the pro shop of sorts. And I'm like, hey, I'm green. I'm a newbie. You know, tell me what I need to know. So I had the best experience being a noob in a technically, a technically proficient environment. All of a sudden, we were talking about Dana axles and Spicer U-joints and gear axle ratios and metal versus plastic internal constructions, the whole 9 yards. You know what I mean? And I was just like, over my head, you know, trying to understand and keep up with the acronyms and the manufacturers, all the stuff they were throwing out there. So in that process, I gotta be honest, I'm nervous, right? It's got to be how somebody feels wheeling, you
Absolutely.
know, for the first time. I'm nervous. Like all these other people look like they've got it together. It looks like they've got everything figured out, and we have nothing. I felt it was a great experience for me to understand where our new customers come from. So Leo and I get our guns, we get our gear, we've got our face protection, and we head out to join the battle. Okay, we hit the range for a minute.
So you're out there
I asked them first. I asked where the bunny slope was. I said, where do I start? And they showed me where the range was, right? So we went out to the range, and we figured out how to just to fire them and load them and, you know, keep the stuff going and whatnot. Then we just walk out to the battle, okay?
So you go right from Bunny Hill to Black Trail.
That's 100%.
And they were like,
true.
fresh meat, let's just light them up.
Yeah, and they
How
were
quick
like,
did you guys get taken out?
so,
You stepped into the field, boom.
no, right?
it.
So I can see just an all-out epic, you know, just slaughter fest happening over here. And I thought, okay, we're going to tiptoe right on this trail. And these guys are like, who are you and where do you go? And I'm like, we don't know anything, you know? And they're like, what color are you? You know, and I was like, I don't know. I was like, what color am I supposed to be? And they're like, oh, you don't have any color? You're not on a team? I was like, we just got here. We don't know what we're doing. They're like, oh, there's duct tape in the tire at the trail pass. Go get that. Throw some blue on your arm. Jump in the field. So like Leo and I are
You
like,
just got recruited.
we got recruited, right? So we're on this opening, this clearing, and we've now duct taped our arm with, you know, blue duct tape. And I'm telling you, we're a little nervous, and we can hear just absolute insanity happening, you know, 50, 100 yards off to the other direction. And I decided, hey, we got to just rip the Band-Aid off. I was like, all right, shoot me. I need to know what this feels like. Leo's like, yeah, I think we should shoot each other. So here we are with these semi-automatic AR style airsoft guns, to which my son and I have decided that
At
we
point
are
blank range.
at 10 feet. So
You paced it out.
we are 10 feet. We decided
You
that
guys
we are
had a
going to
duel
shoot each other.
wearing the blue tape.
So here we are.
The
And
other
I
two
said-
teams are just watching, going, "What are those two doing?"
What the hell are those two doing? So
They're
I
on the same
decided.
team. Do they not know this?
I opened my chest up. I said, you could shoot me first, son. Right? And he starts, I expected maybe a little
shot.
pop, right? Maybe a shot. I expected
burst you?
He bursted the crap out of me. And he's like, "Bah, bah, 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 bah." So now the first shot wasn't too bad into the chest or the belly, right?
Yeah, but all the remaining ones.
The remaining ones, all of a sudden the sting happens. And instinctually, because I'm an idiot child,
Put your hand
I
in front of
put
me.
my hand in front of me, to which he then blasted the back of my bare hand. And I couldn't. I died. At that point in time, he literally hit me right in the knuckle
busted
bone.
it open.
Busted open my knuckle bone on the back of my hand.
Gloves were required, huh?
I had such big feelings. I had no idea. Well, gloves are required if you put your hand in the line of fire, right?
That's still recommended for that game.
It is still recommended. There's gloves immediately. So I was like, after I recovered, I shot him. I got him in the tender parts. I'm not gonna lie, wasn't intentional. I'm sorry, but I had terrible aim by the course of
So
it.
you both dropped each other, is what
We
I heard.
both dropped each other. That was the first battle. We never even made it into battle. We dropped each other. We said, no, we're going back to the Jeep. I found gardening gloves So here I am with Scott's mulch gardening
Oh,
gloves
shit.
out there playing with these guys in ghillie suits. Leo
And tactical gloves.
and tactical gloves. Leo, he felt, he had a couple bucks he had earned from shoveling snow. He went in and bought some cool tactical gloves from the pro shop.
I'm surprised you didn't like find someone to relate to and be like, hey, and they were like, hey, we actually got like 3 pairs of extras.
Oh, God, that was, you know what? Kind of fast forward to the conversation. It was a great experience. The people were very cool.
Because you pretty much just broke down on the trail, so you should have had
Pretty
like,
much broke down on that was exactly it. So
well, Nate said that your son's been waiting his whole life for that moment. So.
right? He took his father out, honestly, great group of people. Super fun once we participated in the last skirmish. We had just a phenomenal experience. I need another hobby, like I need another hole in the head, but I could totally see, having the opportunity to kind of build upon this as a fun way to get out into the woods.
He's going to have a ghillie
active.
suit on up in his crow's nest, sniping you guys out.
We moved from Nerf guns so quickly. We moved from Nerf guns into airsoft rifles.
Ugh.
So that was my weekend, and not a whole lot else. But I guess that was actually pretty good.
Go ahead, Jeff.
We had at Voodoo the dart tournament.
I saw that.
That was
and
pretty cool. We had like 30 some dart players come in from all around the area, and
I saw some newbies asking, and they wanted to get involved. So just
Yeah.
so you know, I am
I
trying
know.
to follow and support in the process. So I saw a person who was like, "I'm a noob. I'd like to get a dart team going
Yeah.
together." And
Yep, we actually got a couple leagues set up because of it, but there were some new people shooting darts that never shot before. There were some very good dart players.
I'm sorry to interrupt you again as well, but you were big into darts at a former part of your life.
I was,
This is a
yeah.
fun full circle for you.
Yeah, and so I wasn't going to participate in the tournament because I'm like, I got a bar to run. But then somebody, my mom, joined and then decided to back out as they made the teams.
Are you serious?
So they needed a fill-in, so I got thrown into it. And the guy that runs the dart tournament, his name's Carlos, he's participating in the dart tournament. And so our team had a first round bye. I'm like, cool, we already won the first round.
That's right. Look at you.
And then the second round, we were face off with Carlos. And I'm like, Carlos, you did me dirty. And they annihilated us in that game. But then it was double elimination. So then you play again in the losers bracket, which we won that game. And then we promptly lost the next one. So we didn't make it very far.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun. And, the Saturday at Voodoo was just packed all day long between the dart tournament, the hockey game, Otter's last home game. So it was a lot of fun. Busy day.
Good.
That's awesome.
Good. We're glad to and thank you so much for making this a priority, coming back and sharing with us and make sure technically we're doing what we're supposed to.
Oh, the wife and kids are sitting in the parking lot currently.
Well, thank you for Kristen for supporting this endeavor then.
Yep. So for me, I guess I embraced spring and spring cleaning, and wife was kind of need to get stuff cleaned up. Saturday after work, I did work on the tee a little bit, got some of the back of the body started to patch in, and long ago someone had gone through and like cut off, I don't know, 4 to 5 inches of the body. So I had no idea where the reference of that was going to be. So I kind of actually just did a straight edge off of the sub rail of the body and just kind of like, okay, I think it goes to here, and made a patch longer than it should be. And I did a while ago bought the center panel because I needed to know again how far that was going to be. So by that time, Amy had got home. She helped me clamp it in place, put the deck lid back on, and the bottom of it is just absolutely hammered, but we were able to kind of generally idea where it was going to be. So the next day she was off, so we went ahead and she wanted to clean up the house. So she would kind of, do laundry, do dishes, clean everything, that kind of stuff. And I said, well, I'm going to go out in the garage and try to do the same thing. And I filled the garbage can twice with just garbage, filled a 5-gallon bucket completely full to the heaping top, plus by putting stuff in the 55-gallon drum. The 5-gallon pail I can't even barely pick up at this point.
Like with scrap metal or tools or excess stuff, you're saying?
Yeah, I was in that mood. Everything was going, stuff I hadn't touched in forever. Like I was literally going through like, I haven't used this the entire time I've owned this house. This is silly. I was messaging people going, hey, does anybody need this stuff I feel guilty about throwing away?
Yep.
The classic.
And then a week or two from throwing it away, you're going to find a use for it, and you're like, son of a...
I was literally thinking that as I was doing it. Also, we're able to, like, just winter, you pack things in and make stuff. Your pathways get smaller and smaller. And Amy had found a dresser, surprise to no one here, a while ago. And that had been in the garage for over a year in the one spot, which was right up tight to my vise. And I was like,
she loves dressers. Just folks, just so you know, some women collect shoes, some women love jewelry. The way to Amy's heart are dressers.
Because she likes to fix them up and
hold
the
on to them.
intention.
or
Her
leave them
intention is to
in
fix
Scott's
them up.
area.
Anyway,
Say less before you get in trouble.
so I had inappropriately used as a flat surface that, again, surprises no one here.
Surprises no one.
Wow.
So
How many drawers had tools in them?
I didn't put stuff in the drawers.
Okay.
Well,
But
that
it
also
was
doesn't really
multiple
surprise
layers
me.
thick
There's
on the
multiple
top.
layers thick on the top.
That makes sense.
So I one of the first things was I got to clean that off. And then I had Aiden, my son, help me carry it over and the other side of the garage, which then excited my wife to be like, okay, now it's in the danger zone. I must find a home for it in the house now, which put her into a whole new level of cleaning.
Oh yeah, you got to move something else to now move that.
Absolutely. And measurements happening and that stuff. And so anyway, because now I have more space, I started moving stuff around. I was able to move my toolbox that holds all of the machinist stuff over down actually where my welding rig was. And actually, I have a lot more space now and can move around the shop a little bit easier. So I have way more stuff to do. The top of the machinist toolbox is 3 layers deep, so that needs sorted. More throwing needs to happen, but I'm feeling better. It's the typical spring cleaning. You start to feel a little bit more revitalized. You can start to see the light at the end of the tunnel because now I can actually use my space again. I'm excited to continue to clean and sort because the shed's packed. The other side of the garage is packed, obviously, because of not having the building done. Desperately need more space.
Yeah,
so
I get that.
I got more stuff to go get that's hidden away at other friends' houses. So I definitely looking forward to getting back out there and figuring that out.
And some sustained good weather versus this up and down and this snow.
I'm over it.
couple more weeks, and I think spring will be here to
Find
stay.
that ground.
By the time that spring's actually here, it'll be summer. Let's be
Don't
realistic.
swear at me, Jeff.
Jeff, why?
I'm trying to give you your Midwest that you want to be classified as. That's what
We
happens.
know
in the
that's
Midwest.
true, but don't hurt me like that.
All right,
Until next time,
Jeep on.
Jeep on.
Jeep on.